Good morning. We had quite a few people come in last night after the shelter was full. As you can see, we had some camping. We're all just starting to get up. And there's a beer canister in the tree. We got some bear bags up. We're getting ready to have breakfast. We are motoring along this morning, trying to stay ahead of weather. We have potential of storms coming in this afternoon, which will help us determine whether we go over Klingman's Dome today or tomorrow. So we are just making our miles this morning. And, whoops, sorry about that. And we will see if we're able to go over Klingman's this afternoon or if that's just a fool's errand. No sense pushing something and risking getting hurt. The winds are supposed to be up to 35 miles an hour with potential of rain and or snow. So we will see. Today I'm feeling much better, slept much better last night. Was able to kind of get my quilt kind of sewn up the side with some bungee cords. I have some little loops that allowed me to kind of zigzag my bungee cord up, which made it much warmer for sleeping on a sleeping pad. The night before I had tried putting the bungee cords underneath the sleeping pad from my little quilt loops, and that just left a lot of gaps. So last night it was more snug around my body and it felt a lot warmer, although I think it was about 10 degrees warmer last night than the night before. And just getting used to sleeping in a shelter and snoring's not bothering me as much. We heard a cute little saying. It's called, when you're in a shelter and everybody's snoring, it's called a snorchestra. And I thought that was kind of cute. We're in between, we're probably at about 6.5 miles for the day. I just wanted to give you this pretty view. You know, we're through the trees most of the day. And when we get a clearing like this, it is just gorgeous. Let me zoom for you and see if you can see the depth of those mountains. And that water body you see down there is still Fontana Lake. We are going to continue following that along. All right, we're coming up to our shelter. That's the Plan A. It's only 12:30. We're starting to get some little tiny snow flurries, but we think we are going to press on while the weather is still pretty clear and try to get over Klingman's Dome before the weather comes in, so that we don't have to go over it tomorrow morning after the storm. We're at a mile into Plan B, headed up to Klingman's Dome. This is feeling very familiar. Feels a lot like New England. Getting a lot more evergreens, a lot more rocks, and even a little snow for the first day of spring. So Klingman's Dome is the highest peak on the Appalachian Trail, 6,643 feet, and it is in the Great Smoky National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And no matter the weather, I told myself I was going to do this. So I'd say we have weather, and we're doing it. I do personally think it's an ugly monstrosity. To each their own. I'm sure this was like from the brutalist era or something of architecture. Okay, look at your views. And then there are those days where there's a Plan C. We have decided to go the extra 4.5 miles today instead of tomorrow down to Newfound Gap and try to get a ride into Gatlinburg, because although we made it to Klingman's Dome quite fine, it has really cooled down and the winds are picking up. So we decided it was worth 2 hours of walking this evening to get a night in a bed and potentially a dinner. So we haven't been able to get cell phone coverage to coordinate anything yet, but we're just gonna trust that it will all work out. And it always does one way or another. So plan C, here we come, which will mean that we are having our biggest day on the trail by far so far. And my body's feeling good. No side effects from feeling punky yesterday at all. I've got good energy, and let me turn this around so that you can see the beauty that we're walking in. No tracks in front of us. People either got out before the storm this morning, which is my guess from that shelter. But it sure is pretty. We've had a couple of slips and falls on ice that was covered, obscured with snow. And, but everybody's good. The story is too good to not tell you the whole thing of how I went from this snowy scene to the next scene, which is a thank you to our drivers. So let me tell you what happened. As we were coming down the mountain in the snowstorm, I was able to get in touch with the shuttle driver, and we confirmed a 6 p.m. pickup at Newfound Gap. At the same time, I got a hotel reservation in Gatlinburg. No surprise, Cushy Life wants her hotel. We were about 2 miles away from meeting our driver, so I texted her to let her know that we were on time and we would be there to meet her. And I got a chilled silence on the other end of the phone when she responded that the road had been closed and there was no way she could get up to get us off the mountain. At this point, our shelter was 3 miles behind us. We had no place to stay, and the temperatures continued to drop and the wind continued to pick up, and it was still snowing and sleeting. So we resigned ourselves to the fact that we were going to have to sleep in the bathroom at Newfound Gap. And somebody had already done that this year, and her trail name is now Queen of Thrones. So that name was already taken. It wasn't a great option, but we were willing to do it, to just sit out the storm. As we got to the parking lot, however, there were a bunch of cars that were parked, and then there were 2 cars with their taillights on that were in reverse. And Trigger and I made a beeline. We started running and waving our hiking sticks and yelling and telling them we needed help. It turns out they were letting cars off the mountain, just not on the mountain. So we had 2 families that were vacationing together from Florida, and they, between their 2 cars, they could fit all 3 of us in. So 1 in one car and 2 in the other. And they drove us the half hour to Gatlinburg out of their way to get us to safety and off the mountain. And it was just an amazing experience. And let me introduce you now in this next clip to our angels for the day. So these are our 3 heroes who picked us up off the mountain when the road was closed and brought us to safety. Thank you guys so much from the bottom of my heart. You are the biggest angels we've ever met.
You're welcome. Thank you.